Hi, this is Jerry Swingle, and I want to thank you for your interest in the call, the faith-based whole person strength assessment that we use here at the Retreat of Hidden Treasure. Today I'd like to hear a little bit of the story of Nate and Erin. They're a couple that recently took the call, both individually and then as a couple went through the debrief. Nate and Erin have been married 9 years. They've spent 7 years in full-time ministry and are parents to 2 precious children. So let's listen as Nate and Erin talk about their experience of taking the call.
We have had a good marriage and a good ministry, and we didn't come into this thinking we're in big trouble, so we better do something to help. But we came into it with a desire to grow and to learn and to become more the people that God's called us to be, and to strengthen our marriage and our relationship and our personal vision for the future and our ministry. And so that was kind of the motivation to do this in the first place, was to take the next step and to grow closer to each other, to grow closer to God, and to grow in our ministry.
I wanted more a defining or a definition of where to move forward as far as strengthening the areas that I'm strong in, and not focusing so much on the areas that I am weak in. And I think a lot of what I have been doing up to this point has been trying to focus on, I need to shore up those weak areas, rather than, let's see what I'm strong in and let's work on that. Let's strengthen those. I really enjoyed taking the call. Maybe this is how my mind works, but I love knowing how things work, and knowing how I worked was especially interesting to me. And yeah, the questionnaire, Nate and I had a lot of fun with that, and then the debrief session with you as an individual was very eye-opening, to see my gift mix and to have different challenges of, I need to strengthen this area, and these are some things to watch out for within these strengths, and how do you, what does my strength look like when I am operating empowered by the Holy Spirit? And what are some roadblocks? And I think that was really huge for me to learn about those roadblocks and know these are areas that I need to work through. So,
well, it was a lot of fun, kind of along the same lines of what Erin said. It's always fun to learn about yourself and to learn about yourself from a different perspective, and so that was entertaining and enlightening at the same time. In fact, it was so much fun, we did it for a date night. We took a normal Wednesday date night that we do every week, and instead of renting a movie or going out to eat or whatever, we sat down and did the call together, so it was a lot of fun. And then our debrief sessions with you were extremely enlightening. It seems like so many different things where we kind of had a hint of this or that here or there became extremely clear, and you were able to really put some meat on the bones. So we kind of maybe had a little bit of an idea, but you were able to give a lot more perspective on those ideas, and it was just a really great time. I've done things like this in the past, but there was never the kind of personal attention that helped it really make sense. And even some of the results from the call I was a little confused on and thought, there's no way that's right. But then as you talked it through, it became extremely clear, and it actually ended up being, in a few different situations, things that were huge issues in my life that I kind of didn't even notice. Yeah.
Wow, I think that was so incredibly beneficial. It was on a completely different level even than the individual call report. I think both were amazing, but I think as a couple, the debrief was very insightful, very helpful, and really gave us direction on overcoming some areas that maybe are challenges in our marriage. One thing that I thought was very awesome about the call is its uncanny ability to pinpoint your strengths, your weakness, your challenges. It was definitely very, very uncanny.
It felt like you knew our marriage as well as we and God did at times. It felt like you knew a lot of details. So it was a lot of fun. It was a great opportunity for us to get that outside perspective on our marriage, which in most cases we don't get as couples. It seems like that's an area of life where it's really hard for somebody to see the inner workings of that relationship and how you work as a couple and how you function as a couple. And somehow the way this call is organized and designed, it did a great job of bringing out a lot of those underpinnings and core issues inside the marriage to help us take good steps for the future and to help us grow as a couple. So we were very thankful, and it was a lot of fun doing it. It was just a lot of fun. I'll start with the couples aha. Probably the biggest aha that we had as a couple was realizing that our energy levels were different. And when we look back at 9 years of marriage, it seems like some of our major points of conflict or challenge, some of the areas that kept coming up and that we didn't quite understand what the reasons for that were, or we didn't understand what the reasons for those were, was the issue of energy. And the call correctly diagnosed that I am extremely high in energy, and Erin is more on the relaxed pace side of things. And beyond that, some of my spiritual gifts were pulling that high energy even higher, and some of hers were pulling her relaxed pace even more relaxed. And so there were these two different perspectives. I was super high energy. She wanted to be relaxed and go at it kind of more easy. This would come out even in things like vacations. I wanted to get to where we were going and go for it. I had a schedule. Let's book every minute of the day doing something. And she just wanted to relax and sleep. And so a lot of those kind of energy differences came out. And so, yeah, that energy issue was a big aha, where we were able to see some of the different perspectives we had on that issue and how to work together to support each other. I know that you gave us some great advice. You said, Nate, since your energy is so high and Erin's is lower, instead of just finding 10 new balls to juggle, start juggling some of her balls. And that way you keep getting the output for the energy that you need, and she gets some of the support that she needs. And so there were some big aha moments like that for us as a couple. Personal ahas for me, one was the leadership outcome. On the call, I scored really high in that area, and there was, I guess, my whole life I had believed incorrectly that I wasn't a strong leader because of certain things that had been said to me when I was young. And as a result of that, I just believed, no, I'm not supposed to be a leader. That's not one of my main giftings. And I knew I was a leader in different areas, but I never thought I would be a strong leader in certain areas. So finding in the call that was not the case really helped me address some of those lies and really start believing the truth. And so it was kind of liberating and exciting.
Finding out about my different gifting mix and how I love the truth, but I also love to focus on people and to see and meet their needs where they're hurting, and was really, really unique for me. And to think about when I am talking to people about what is truth and how to face the truth and how to live for the truth, also bringing in that side of me that longs to be compassionate towards that person and longs to be gentle, instead of pushing that away and saying, oh, that's not right, but to let that part of my strengths come out. Well, one thing I loved about this is that it looked at us as a whole person rather than, different parts. It looks at, what God has gifted you in, how that is supposed to be expressed, or how you like to express those giftings. Most of these types of tests, they don't focus on that, and they miss a whole aspect of who you are. And that's what I really, really liked about this, is that it took us as a whole person, and so that is how it exceeded my expectations.
My expectations were that it would just spit out a couple answers, some rote answers that maybe told you were something or you were gifted in some area, but then that was the end of it. I've seen that in the past, and that's nice to know, but it doesn't help all that much. What I liked about the call and about the debrief was that it went far beyond just telling me and Erin what our strengths were, what our personality traits were, but it went the next step and told us why they were that way and how they could work together with other areas in our lives and in each other's lives. So it answered not just what are your strengths, but why are you strong in those areas and how can those work together? And it answered so much more than a normal test like this or a normal type of report like this would do. So it definitely blew my expectations out of the water, and we're really thankful we did it. I would say life is too short to spend the next couple decades figuring out the hard way what this could very likely tell you in a couple of days the easy way. And so spend the small amount of money to grow yourself and to grow your family and to grow your ministry and to become who God made you to be. It'll be a fun process, and there's no reason in the world you shouldn't invest in your own future and in your own life right now. So do it.
It was so valuable in our lives, and I think it was really helping us to move forward in a lot of areas that we were stuck or had roadblocks in. And it brought in a lot of wisdom, and excitement, I think, is a good word. Excitement for what does God have for us? You know, what areas do we get to work on together with Him? And, you know, what does the future hold? Like, it puts a lot of things into perspective, and it's really, really an exciting process to go through. So